What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Now, even though production's been halted on set for quite a while over at Marvel Studios and really everywhere else, it's pretty clear they've remained working on these projects where they can remotely, especially from CGI houses across the world. And in doing so, we've had a couple of leaks up until now, all we've reminded you to take with a grain of salt as they've come anonymously, as does today's. However, this one was a little more difficult to read considering it was definitely translated from a foreign language and pretty poorly by the author. We're going to do our best to read through it word for word, break down what it says about the Loki series and the Marvel series as a whole, and there are some pretty huge implications in here if in fact this ends up being true and we can make heads or tails of it. Like I said, we're going to break the whole leak down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as this insane 1/4 scale XM Studios Beta Ray bill. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment down below, and if you want, stick around at the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So first things first, the normal spoiler warning, because you guys know what it is. Remember to take anything that doesn't come officially from Marvel Studios with a grain of salt, but in the past, some of the biggest leaks have come from anonymous sources like Reddit and 4chan, as is today's leak. So if this is in any way going to ruin the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Loki series on Disney Plus, or your overall MCU experience, which you know yourself better than others and begs the question as to why you clicked on this video anyway. But again, if this is going to ruin anything in the MCU for you, back out now, otherwise you've been warned. Now, this was posted again anonymously all over the internet. It's on 4chan and Reddit, and quick reminder, if you're not familiar with websites like 4chan, stay off them. They're dangerous. Just try to find it reposted as I do here in the video, and if I can find a link to a safer place on Reddit, I'll post it there as well. It starts, immediately apologize for my English. I am from China, a close person of one of the employees from the future division of Disney Plus in China. I have some information on the series Loki and several other Marvel projects on the service. Please treat this as a rumor, as I have only verbal information communicated to me by the source. Usually we read through these word for word before we break them down, but as you guys will see, I'm going to need to make heads or tails of what I've read on here, as it doesn't exactly read fluently. Loki, the series will begin with a room of interrogation TVA. Special Agent Mark, played by Owen Wilson, is briefly introduced in Loki, which they caught with the Tesseract. Loki will shine in his death, mainly the timeline of the Avengers, and also will put an entire responsibility for the actions of the Avengers on him. If you go ahead and translate that sentence, basically what they're saying is the TVA will blame Loki for everything that happened. The fact that the actions of the Avengers in the final of the open wormhole in the multiverse, and now the TVA mercenary need to fix some events. Basically, in the finale, they opened a wormhole they didn't fix. From Zero Time Zone, Mark will hold a small tour of Loki's involved universes in the Fault. That's what they're calling this huge mistake, that will call the event associated with the Avengers opening a wormhole. In the Rift, we have 3 universes, which apparently will continue to appear in the MCU. They include the main universe with the Avengers, that's what we've seen in the movies, a universe with an alternate land, and a universe where there was a quantum catastrophe. Loki, of course, will refuse, followed by an escape attempt. He breaks out of his handcuffs and will run down a corridor where he sneaks into a room where there's a Tesseract and almost touches it, suddenly to find the time starts to go backwards. Agent Mark will roll back time into the room of interrogation and tell Loki that he has no choice. Mark will leave Loki alone in the interrogation room, alone with the files of the death of Odin, Frigga, and Loki at the hands of Thanos. And let's not let the poor writing and even worse translation throw us off the poignancy there. That would be Loki reading about his own death. Now guys, buckle up. These next 2 paragraphs are absolute doozies. Next, we'll show the main antagonist of the series, Richard E. Grant, who plays the part of Mr. Mills. Mills orders Mark to proceed on the second part of the plan. Mark, following the order, moves to the exit of the office, but Mills drops the following phrase: "It is much more dangerous than him. Be careful." Now, there's not much to get from there except for that Justice Mills appears to be the antagonist. He's sending Owen Wilson on a different mission. That's followed up here. Now, I know this next paragraph doesn't make a lot of sense, but it ties to the paragraph before it. It says, next, we will show a huge room with hundreds of TVA employees who all look almost the same, but Mark's comm features in each. He moves to the table Mobius, which monitors the Fault for information about the new Selling Mark. Now, Selling Mark, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. but it says it's a female version of Loki. So when Mills says before in the paragraph above it that it's much more dangerous than him, be careful, he's referring to this female version of Loki being more dangerous than Loki himself. Mark will throw away all the information on the communicator in hours, thank Mobius, and send to another section. There will be a command, a detachment of the soldiers to gather to the outing, meanwhile studying the object. Guys, no idea what this is trying to say. It turns out that in alternative Earth, Loki killed his brother Thor and is now hitting New York. Mark smiles. So I think basically that's just explaining that there definitely is a multiverse. They're monitoring all of it, and there's a lot going on throughout the multiverse, but this show's going to focus on what happened with the wormhole, obviously, and how they created it, blame Loki for that, and try to get him to fix it. Now, this next paragraph, which you can read through for yourself because I have found a link to Reddit I will leave down in the description, is an absolute mess. I'm going to try to make heads or tails of it, but if I read through it, it wouldn't make any sense anyway. Basically, what it says is that Owen Wilson apparently playing this character Mark has some sort of change of heart, and at some point will run to Loki, take the bracelets off, the prisoner bracelets, and explain to him that something's going on with the fault, and if it's not addressed now, it's going to destroy all of the universes. And he says that they need to cheat time, and then Loki asks, gods, you want to call another me, referring to this other female Loki, and Mark said, no, someone better than you. Again, whoever this female Loki is seems to be upstaging whatever Loki has, and it seems as though they're going to be working together throughout the entirety of this series, something that we had heard rumored heavily going into this leak. It goes on to read, after that, we again see the cabinet of Mills, who is associated with someone unknown, and says it will not bypass the attention of the observers and needs to proceed with caution. From their one-sided dialogue, it becomes clear that the actions of Mills is controlled by somebody else from the outside. Mills angrily breaks the link in the suit jacket and goes into the secret room in his office, hiding behind the mirror. The room has a lot of different hours: mechanical, digital, sand, even a number of strange magical devices. He approaches one of the hourglasses at the top and bottom, which there are miniature black holes that burn and regenerate the sand. He takes them in his hands and turns it counterclockwise, after which all the clocks in the room emit a scraping sound. Mills cracks his neck, burying something in his eyes, and leaves the room. After, we see the landing of the capsule in a pouring rain on an alternate Earth, followed by soldiers and Mark getting out of the capsule, and leaves Loki in the form of a TVA. I basically think that's him wearing the jacket that we saw from some of the leaked set photos. They're heading to the mall, where something strange is happening. Mark, on the way, explains that in this land, they also have a squad of superheroes, and the TVA must obtain the object they're after before collision with them. Loki offers a stamp to play a trick with time, but Mark explains that that is only possible in the zero time zone, which may be their original continuity. Obviously, something's going on here with their power wherever ancillary multiverse they're in. As it turns out, the female version of Loki is not a villain, but rather trying to stop the consequences of the rift in the universe. Here we first see the effect of the sucking, I'm not sure what that is, in a very small black hole that absorbs everything around it. I guess they created a tear. It creates copies of itself, absorbs a black hole, then burns out, sort of similar to what we saw in that hourglass in just the paragraph before. We will see about 10 of her clones, but all the holes continue to appear. Mark yells and it's useless and asks her to move out of the way from the holes, saying that it will take the people, basically suck them all in it. She throws Mark and several agents where the time Loki is stationary and not engaged in action. Here, the views overlap both versions of Loki, and then we see a bright flash of light. I don't know if that's multiverses colliding. The next few scenes will show the prehistory female version of Loki. We will introduce alternative Asgard and the evil version of Thor, an adult whose face we've never seen. But for a few scenes, it becomes clear that Thor always dreamed of the throne, was a fierce fighter in the struggle for the throne, and killed his father. After a few scenes of combat, prices similar to the Flash, we will show the dead body of Thor and Loki placed. It's so hard to read through some of this. After she sits on the throne in a completely empty dark room of an alternative Asgard, and I guess that's just, again, something else that played out. It's terrible to think about Thor being evil, but it's also interesting that they would say this, because if this is true, then we definitely have Chris Hemsworth making an appearance in the upcoming Loki series on Disney+. The return of the alternative ground agents TVA to lay the last black holes and flee from the capsule. Both Loki, Lie, and the Devil of Consciousness. I think he's meant to say devoid of consciousness. Their bodies are the agents dragged into the capsule. Mark explains that the flash effect of one of the agents said that usually when meeting an alternative self, this shouldn't happen, and that's most likely caused by the fault. Some force is trying to unite the universes, which would entail the destruction of all the alternate versions, basically them all becoming one and colliding, leaving only one, and apparently this effect has already started to work. It concludes with, after in the interrogation room is the female version of Loki. Frames are repeated exactly in the first frames of the series, but after the camera starts to move off, we can see how the glass, it's actually Loki. He looks at an alternative version of himself from the right after draws attention to your wrist where the part of his veins turned black, and at the moment he sees inside them glow similar to what came from the black holes. Mark leaves the room and says he needs something to show Loki. They go to one of the rooms where the flow of time is represented by a projection of a river in the middle of the empty room. Mark says that the fault affected 586 events in the universe in the original Avengers, but the impetus was the creation of a time machine. The main problem is not that we need something to govern, but rather need to repeat some events that the fault can be erased, and Loki will have to stay out of it. Then marks the period of 1960 and turns to Loki, "You need to kill someone." End the first series. Now, there again is a lot to unpack here, besides the fact that this was a total dumpster fire of a leak, impossible to read, and probably would have been better suited if whoever wrote this would have written it in their original language and then used Google Translator, or maybe that's what they did. Either way, sometimes things get lost in translation, but of the facts that we pulled out of this, and again, if this is true and real regarding the Loki series, there's definitely some insane stuff going on here. Now, we've heard rumors of a female version of Loki, as well as obviously the multiverse is going to present us with characters we've never seen before, like evil versions, including an evil version of Thor. But I think the biggest takeaway from this entire leak is that the creation of the time machine by the Avengers is what really screwed all of this up. Even though they're blaming Loki, it's because they have access to him and he was part of the problem. But the real truth is they thought they clipped all the branches to directly quote Captain America, "I got it, clip all the branches." Really, they created 586 more problems because, of course, messing with time is a Pandora's box, and obviously they knew they at least screwed up the one timeline where Loki got away with the Tesseract. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below, as well as what you think of this leak, aside from how poorly it was written, some of the facts presented there within, and how it lines up with what we already know, some of the set photos we've already seen, how hype you are for the series, and all your thoughts. And quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros. We're giving away 2 now at the 700,000 subscriber mark. We just announced a winner for the 650 sub count PS4 Pro a couple of days ago. If you missed that video, just scroll back through the channel. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video. That'll automatically enter you to win all the rest of the prizes we're giving away here at the channel, like this insane XM Studios 1/4 scale Beta Ray build. This will be given away at the 650,000 subscriber count. And guys, if you're not familiar with collectibles, this is in no way an action figure. Standing at almost 29 inches tall, these are immaculate 1/4 representations of some of your favorite Marvel characters. XM Studios is by far one of the best in the business. If you're not familiar with this statue, I've left a link down in the description over on Gem Mint Collectibles. Gem's a friend of mine. We acquired this statue through the Gem Mint Collectibles store. He actually did a full in-depth breakdown of this statue. So if you want to see this prize in much further detail, go ahead and click on that link. Like I said, it's down in the description. Also, make sure to follow his channel while you're over there and show Gem some love. Either way, if you want to be entered to win any of the prizes here at the channel, the PlayStation 4 Pros, the Beta Ray Bill statue, or any of the other prizes we announce, hopefully as we double down all the way up to 1 million over the next couple of years, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell with notifications turned on. Leave a like and a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, just like we're doing here. And if you've missed any of the past winners, especially here real recently, as I said, we just gave away a PlayStation 4 Pro at 650K. No worries, all you have to do, scroll back through the channel, look for the subscriber count and the winner in the title, click on that video, and scroll to the end. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always, guys. Thanks for checking out the channel, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.